Hello and welcome to Breakfast Central on a fresh and brand new working week here, broadcasting live from Lagos, Nigeria. Je m'appelle Joe Hansen.
Bonjour, bienvenue à Breakfast Central. No, that's not
It's
that.
fine.
You've tried.
I tried, Abby.
Okay.
I'm Olive MOD and very excited to start the week with you. We're counting down to the end of the month. Now, you know what that means. It means salary week. I'm so excited about that.
And it means the next day you get Happy New Month broadcast. Many of them.
What's our broadcast?
Yeah.
Anyway, for the next 3 hours this morning on Breakfast Central, we're looking at some of the biggest stories that have occurred here in Nigeria, some of the biggest stories, even maybe outside the continent. Maybe we might step out, and of course, we'll be reviewing the front pages of the papers where you get to be a chance, or you get to have a chance to call in on the show. You're very welcome.
You're welcome to Breakfast Central. Yes, #1 breakfast television in Nigeria, where people are so free to talk to us. We have engaging intellectual discussions. It's not an inquisition. We're not trying to cut anybody's head. We're just trying to get to the meat of the matter.
Absolutely.
And if you think we're something, you catch it, collect it, and subscribe to GoTV and watch News Central every day.
Every day.
Absolutely.
I was going to make a dry joke when you said if you think we're subbing you. I remember that I have laces here. So if the shoe fits, lace it.
Wow. You're on a roll this morning, well
Yeah.
rested and charged for the week.
You
and
think?
Refueled, just
Well,
like
how was your
Joe's drinking
weekend,
his
Joe?
coffee.
Joe, good weekend. We missed you on Friday. Good to have you back. we were
Friday
so sad.
was
We were
sad,
crying.
man.
We couldn't,
Wow.
we couldn't
Some
function.
callers even called to say,
People were like,
where's that
Joe?
Like,
If you don't bring Joe back, we're going to turn off the TV.
yeah, we're going to switch to a rival station.
But we're glad to have you
To all
back.
my fans, kudos to
Ofuini Kunduz.
You know what? We're going to behave ourselves today, you guys. Let's start with the conversations that we have this morning, talking about the exorbitant cost, the soaring cost of renting houses in Lagos. If you live in Lagos, you would realize, and if you've tried to move houses within the last 2 years, you'd realize the exorbitant cost of housing. Now, it's not just the rent, it's the service charge, agency fee, the tenancy agreement. In some cases, I was house hunting last year, and what I saw in some cases was that the service charge was higher than the rent, or almost competing with the rent. And when you do the math, in some cases, your service charge is almost as much as half of your rent. So the question is, where are we going to? How can we nip this in the bud? We started conversations here on Breakfast Central. We had Scott, who's a price control activist, to join us on the show to share, the progress that has been made so far and some of the progress that we're looking to see. But gentlemen, Joe, I know you in particular can relate to this. I'm not quite sure because, Gbenga, he has gotten a house in the Kasongo way.
Yeah.
So
Yes,
not really, he can't relate.
My
to
landlord is pretty chilled, so
shout out
to Dr. Thomas. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, I think I should look for a landlord who's a doctor.
Please let me give shout out to my landlord so that they will not increase my house rent,
Hopefully.
please. Shout out to my landlord and to my agents. I'm using this to beg you. As much as I'm talking about this, please don't increase rent. Please help.
Whether we like it or not, Lagos, not just Lagos, we hear, last time I did the drawing board here, we got comments on X and all that. In short, the X was filled with a lot of comments. People were saying, why are you focused only in Lagos? Abuja, we're feeling the heat as well. The prices have gone up in Abuja. Someone also sent a message on X and said, even in the southeast, it's a problem. So it's starting to be a pandemic, let me put it that way. Recently, I'm also, I know someone who's house hunting, so we're trying to do it together. And you find out that, like Olive, you just rightly said, the service charge is something else. Now you're paying a percentage on every house. Let's say it this way. Gone are the days you find a 2-bedroom, in quotes, flats, and you see it for about, depending on the area, a certain price. But now it's like all landlords had a meeting and they said, listen, it doesn't matter whatever area it is, as long as it's a 2-bedroom flat, it must start counting from
Millions.
3 million, 2.8 million, 3 million, 3.5, and so on. And you wonder why middle class is starting to shrink.
Yes, the middle class.
It's starting to shrink. And for those who are in the middle class cadre, all of us, I want to believe so, we're starting to really find it very hard to survive. And I think it's
But I mean, I would look at a different perspective.
Okay.
Landlords are also Nigerians. Telco, I mean, it's on this set that we discuss the increase in telco, the increase in transportation, the increase in in air tickets and everything. These guys use Nigerian markets. You might argue that they built their houses so many years ago, and they're not buying fresh cement and all of that, but the economy affects them too. They go to the same markets we all go to. So are we being fair that the inflation shouldn't have a sort of reflection on their rent? Some of these landlords, their only sole means of survival in
and I agree with Gbenga,
retirement,
right? In the sense that I agree completely that we're all shopping from the same market, we're all feeling the impact of inflation, but there's also a certain level. I think that whilst it's understandable that in some cases they have to make an increase, but the increase has to be fair. Now, what is fair? I'll give you an example. I have a friend whose rent for an apartment, I don't want to give specifics, on the island was 6 million. And last year, the rent was increased to 12 million.
That's too much.
How do you make an increment like that?
So that's why you have the protest. That's why you have the protest. That's
and
why
now she's moving out.
That's why people are coming out to protest, because it's 100% increase. A family member of mine was paying 1.5, and all of a sudden she got a letter from the landlord saying, listen, starting from the end of this year, which happens to fall in November, the rent is going to be increased to 3 million. And I'm why is he adding 1.5 on it? And for some of them, in case you do not know, they will tell you that because it's a new contract and a new rent, you also have to now pay what they call, what's that charge you pay in case you spoil it? You now have to pay.
And how many of them did they never refund your caution?
I don't understand.
Or you even leave the house better than you met.
Do you understand?
So they never really refund your caution. And
No, they don't.
They hardly ever.
They don't.
I mean, I'm not saying that, okay, I wouldn't say that they don't, but they hardly. In the cases that I've seen, they'll tell you, oh, caution fee. I feel like if you want to add to the rent with your full chest. Stop using excuses of caution fee, this fee, that fee, agency, tenants. Do you know that in some cases there are people that, some people will tell you that, you know what, don't pay 10%, pay 5% for the legal agreement. So I think that Nigeria is, it's not the best and it's biting hard on everyone, but we can be considerate about it.
We have a problem. We have a problem, guys, and I think we need to, if we can do this on Breakfast Central, we'll do this for the culture and for the people. I think we might need a segment here on the show, if my colleagues agree, where we can really focus on rent issues. And I think we need to drum it into the ears of those in power that, listen, it's about time. Good enough, the federal government had come out yesterday concerning the tax, you know, the new tax, you know, entire thing they're putting together. They said they're going to remove taxation from rent. So people will no longer have to pay, you know, landowners, they're reviewing it, so on and so forth. This would also give room for people. But how is that going to trickle down? I have a problem with the middlemen. Those you call agents. Everybody's an agent now. How far you define two bed ideal? You know, everybody's telling you come, and you're wondering. Sorry, excuse me. When did you start agency work? Say, don't worry now.
Problem with
it's
them,
hustle.
you know, doing it because it's
no, because they also add to the overall.
They also add to the overall.
Why can't I deal with the landlord?
But they're business even outside Nigeria. There are people whose work, you know.
But they're certified, so that's another thing.
Okay.
The ones you have are not certified. And there's rumor that these same agents are the ones who speak to Olive, who owns a house at Como. This your 2-bedroom is too cheap. Take it up to 3 million. Yeah. And all of a sudden you.
And then they even charge you fees for inspecting.
Yes. In all fairness, though, my own agent was able to negotiate a discount for me. Shout out to Chris. He was one that was able to speak to the landlord to say, you know what, this is her budget. You know, can we try to make a discount for her? So that's.
I didn't even know that Chris Brown is now into agency.
Let's take a look at this one. Oh my goodness.
The same Chris Brown of Rihanna fame.
Even to the governor's office that they should just help us arrange this thing very well, because the rate that all these agents are increasing all this house rent, house agreement and commission is getting out of hand. When house is 800,000, agreement and commission must be 40, which is 80,000.
The commission agreement of 18 had several experiences, you know, to talk about it. It's alarming, it's killing people. Everything is not about government, and individual thing now, the way I see it. So it actually happened to me too. I wanted to get an apartment at Jojo Elegba, the apartment 2-bedroom flat with 3 toilets, quite nice. It's going for ₦1 million. Then the agent in charge told me agreement and commission damages ₦1 million. Total package of ₦2 million. That's killing. That is not it at all.
When it comes to my estate, in our Soya estate, that's where I live. So our own ESCO member invite agents for our estates. They have meeting with them, collaborate with them, calling house owners to increase their rents. Like my owners from ₦2 million to ₦3 million right now, from 2M to ₦3 million.
There's difference between agents and the rector. You understand? It's this agent that we don't want. I know director is an occupation, you are trained for it, and you are certified, and you have your office. But funny enough, most of these guys, now them be director, but now they go they employ agents, make them they help them, they do nonsense. So it's the agents we don't want. We don't want agents.
Wow.
Did you hear that the estate, the ESCO members and all that, the people in the estate had meetings with the agents, and then the agents now told them, okay, listen, let's increase the rent. It is pathetic. I don't know how, like Gbenga just said off camera, the first rent is a problem. But I'm thinking now it's continuity.
Yeah,
How
because
you're able
every
to-
year,
every
with the way
year.
they're going, they will probably add something. And the way they're adding, I mean, the increases are exponential, 100% increase. How do you want people to go?
Too much.
Do you think salaries are increasing? I mean,
It's too
cost
much.
of living has skyrocketed. How do you survive?
So just to add to that, right? I think that it's important that we continue to highlight these conversations because rent is a major issue for a number of Nigerians.
Yeah.
When we're talking about the reality, yes, there are people that this doesn't affect, but those are not the people that are the majority, or those who have to bear the brunt of this skyrocketing rent. So we're saying that we need systems and structures that will kick against. And the funny thing, I just want to mention this, is that if you, for example, live in an estate and you want to be the one who is the voice of reason that champions some sort of an aluta, they will kick you out.
Exactly.
They will, once you, 6 months to the expiration of your tenancy, they
You're
will
out.
give you
And the
notice to
worst
quit.
part is there are people that are ready to pay that. So if you're
They are
not
ready to
paying,
pay
you can
more.
leave.
They will
exactly.
activate
So
and
that's,
pay more.
That's it.
So I think that it's important that there are certain practices that we must kick against. One, the practice of collecting 2-year tenancy, 2-year rent, it doesn't make sense. There are certain websites, I can't do any free ad for them, but there are certain websites in Nigeria where you're looking for a property.
Yeah.
You go there, they're listed properties. You will see some of them, they would make it look a little cheaper than the average, maybe remove like 500,000, but they're demanding for 2-year rent. The Lagos state tenancy laws totally, outlaw that.
Doesn't
It's illegal.
work.
You're not meant to ask for 2 years rent. Then the agents, in fact, we also need to find a way to tighten systems and structures to ensure that Nigerians are not duped. It's already expensive enough. What we don't want to do is to cause Nigerians to then hire these properties and find out that they were duped. 2 weeks ago, a friend of mine who also is in the house hunting season went, met a few people, saw a house that he liked, told me the price, told me everything, all the amenities. I listened. As a professional house hunter that I am, I said to him, it sounds a little too good to be true.
Is that a title or job title?
Yes, because
Professional
I've moved
house
houses. I've moved 3 houses in a short duration, and it's not because I'm fighting with them or anything.
Yeah.
Sometimes I just get there and I realize
It's
I
not
don't
what
like
you
it.
paid for.
The-
It's not what you
it's
ordered.
what-
versus
yeah,
what you
like
want.
it's
Yeah.
not maybe convenient for me. It's far from work. I mean, look at our office has moved how many times?
Yeah.
We've moved, ordered differently from what we planned. So
Yeah.
I've had to move around a few times. But I said to him, Jack, it sounds a little too good to be true. Guess what? He found out that
You
it
were
was a
right.
fraud. He went back to the compound, had a conversation with the tenants and said, oh, please, I spoke to your landlord. And they said, no, that's not our landlord. This is our landlord.
Ooh.
Can I speak to your landlord? He got on a video call and found out that the person he'd been speaking to was a fraud.
Uh-huh.
So just to say to Nigerians as well, whilst you're doing your due diligence, you're trying to get houses, please take the due diligence to the next level. When they're not there, go to the houses, speak with the tenants, speak with those in the area to be sure that you're not speaking to the wrong people, because it's bad enough that you pay exorbitantly for rent, and it's even worse off that you might be paying that to the wrong person. But
Good advice you gave me.
Good advice.
Thank you, thank you,
Anyway,
thank you
let's
very
move to another wake-up conversation this morning. If your son or your daughter went to take part, or took part rather, in the 5 days, it starts April 28 to May 5.
5th of May, yeah.
Yeah, 5th of May, concerning the
University tertiary matriculation
yeah,
examination.
By the
UTME.
Joint Admission
UTME
Matriculation Board.
Yeah.
And then, of course, it's a CTB, you know, of
Computer
course,
test,
computer,
yes.
you know, a lot of grammar.
It wasn't like
Alright,
it's only writing.
This is what we
It
call
wasn't this
technology.
It wasn't.
We
this
just said
complicated.
JAMB. Well, yeah.
I'm going to write
Have you
JAMB.
written
I
JAMB?
don't want to make
But
200
now,
in my cutoff.
yes,
Any
there's
of you
a lot.
remember your cutoff? Your score. I still remember
My
JAMB.
score, I wrote just once. I think I got just once. No, but I didn't use it. Don't bother. Don't bother clapping. Yeah.
Why?
Don't bother.
You went to go and
I'll
learn.
tell you later.
You went to learn tailoring.
This is the handwork I'm doing now.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Okay.
anyway, there's a sad story regarding JAMB for students who actually took the exams and are still writing. The sad story is that a report did come out initially, and then it was proven true that parents had to ensure that their wards or their children would be represented or would be at the venue of the examination hall at 6:30 a.m. Now, this controversy has been, causing a lot of challenges and problems online. Challenges for the parents who still have to take their children to the center. Challenges for the fact that parents are finding it hard to move their children from home to the examination center where the exam will take place. Challenges are the fact that power outage did affect some parts of Nigeria, and we saw students breaking the system or fighting and getting angry. Parents also comment on, like a video you see here, questioning why JAMB would do that. And this is a video where students, those who came to sit for the examination, were angry, and they were, breaking the chairs and saying this is not what we expected. Now, bottom line, guys, for those who are watching us, if you are on your way with your child, we sympathize with you. But the question is, why would JAMB start an examination at 6:30 a.m.? And guess what? His Excellency Peter Obi did react to it and, wrote an episode on X talking about why, advising why JAMB would do that in the case of insecurity and so on. And the annoying thing is, JAMB now replied him and said, no, it's not 6:30, but they are coming there to ensure they get the accreditation and so on. The exam starts at exactly 8 or 9 a.m. See, I don't know what your thoughts are, but this story got me angry. It got me angry to the point that I said, I wish the registrar of JAMB could come on air and explain to Nigerians what kind of meeting they had. And they came up with the idea that parents or children should be at the hall at 6:30.
So their defense to that is that individuals who have no qualms with showing up at the airport 2 hours to a flight because
I saw that.
I think
I screen grabbed
2
that.
hours before the flight you must be there because we are closing the boarding gate. That if you
Is it the
can't
same
keep to
thing?
that, then you should be able to keep to this. But again, I do think that whilst we're making laws and policies, we must, whilst we're thinking about putting systems and structures to certain institutions, we must also, very importantly, prioritize the safety of the Nigerians, the average Nigerian, right? These are young children, typically between the ages of 14, 15, and 17, 18-ish. They are young. And even if they were adults, I think it's imperative, that JAMB handles this with some measure of empathy, not being a bit like aloof and uninterested. So try to make it look like, oh no, if you can come to the airport, then you can do this. I think they should approach this with a bit of empathy. I don't see what was incredibly wrong with what His Excellency Peter Obi said here, because he was saying, I came across multiple reports. It's not like he's fabricating the story. Everybody saw these videos and the people on social media sharing their experiences. There was a young girl, Esther, who for a while happened for 24 hours.
I put that post up on my social media
They said
page.
they didn't see her. Why?
She left
was on her
job,
way to
her examination
her
center.
examination center,
Yeah.
and she thought she entered the wrong bus. She had sent a message to her family saying,
She's
I think I entered
dizzy.
the wrong
Yeah.
bus, my eyes are itchy, I'm feeling sleepy. And that was the
Yeah.
last message they heard from
I
her.
was scared
So
for
we don't
her.
we don't want Nigerians to be in a state where they feel like everything doesn't have to be hard. We don't have to,
yes.
and that's a fact, that's the thing we need to get over. You go to a government institution, you want to make an application, they're telling you, drop your file, they can't you see I'm busy. What are they busy doing? Breaking groundnuts. Like, we need
It's
to,
almost as if there's, thank goodness they've improved the passport system.
Yes.
If there's no element of hardship in it.
It's not-
Marriage registration,
everything
everything
has
you
to be
do
difficult.
has to be difficult. And it's not, there's systems. It's just, and a lot of our problems are commonsensical. It's not like you're reinventing the wheel. It's not,
Fact.
is not something that has not been done before. And we also reinforce bad behavior. That is why we're in this state. When people drop the ball, there should be consequences for that. Instead of JAMB being defensive, they should have just said, look, we'll look at our systems, we'll do better next time. End of case. Why compare with airlines and all of that? And to those students that were breaking chairs, that was really unnecessary.
I was going to mention that.
There are other ways you could channel your anger in a very... Is this the type of behavior you get into university and then you start joining cults because of...
But I agree with you, Gbenga. I agree. We don't encourage bad behavior, but that's JAMB's response on the screen. It says, Your Excellency, I must have said that our examination is scheduled to commence at 8 a.m., not 6 a.m., while verification and other clearance processes begins at 6:30 a.m. It is imperative that candidates are afforded adequate time to settle in before the exam begins. And people felt angry with this response. They were like, why are you responding that? You still mentioned 6:30 a.m. Who does that?
So you are reinforcing the 6:30 a.m.
So I think that a better approach to this would have been to say, okay, this is causing undue hardship on the average Nigerian. How about we make the accreditation at 9 a.m. and then exams start at 10 a.m. or make accreditation at 8 a.m. or 8 a.m. and then that's
Olive, you know the funny thing. You know the funny thing. Now, the exams are set up in a way that it's written in, let me use the word batches. So the first batch goes from between, let's say 10 before 12. Another one starts at 12, and then 2. Another one ends, I think the last batch is around 2 o'clock or so, in between like that. Why don't you just start the exam itself at 10?
Exactly.
It's just simple. It's plain sense. Just start at 10.
You have a whole day.
You have a whole day. Let the children come in and settle in. And I do not like the response and the tone of the voice from JAMB, the handle, saying, oh, this is what we're doing. It reeks of what we see of recent, where everybody feels I'm arrogant, I can respond anywhere I go.
Well,
no apologies.
I didn't see anything wrong with it.
I saw something wrong with that. And I think the registrar should come out. The registrar should have come out. I mean, in other crimes, come on, they'll tell the registrar, why would you? Olive, children lost their lives this weekend.
Agree. No.
The registrar will be doing rounds all over TV.
They lost their lives.
All over TV stations.
That young girl who was, look at that. Two kids died in this car because they were rushing to ensure that they get to their venue to write. We've seen these things happen many times. Why are we still doing? I always say this, that sadly, we have analog minds trying to run a digitized system.
I wanted to take something
They don't
back.
work.
I wanted to take something back when I said I don't have a problem with that. I guess what I was trying to say is that I think that it should have been handled differently. Press release may not have been a better approach. I'm hoping that if they haven't come on our platform, that they will go on other platforms this morning. First, to extend their sympathy, because it's caused undue hardship on the life of every Nigerian. So I think that it was imperative that they handled it differently. But like we said, we should not be making laws are made for man. Man is not made for the laws. Policies are made for men and not the other way around. So if we find that it's causing undue hardship, it's best to revisit it. But we'll be going into the meat of this conversation much later on the show this morning. Right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Do we have time for our third wake-up conversation?
I don't think so. I think we can move on a Monday morning, most importantly. But first of all, I want to extend my condolences, and I think we all want to extend our condolences to the families who lost their loved ones. Just ensuring that it's painful. You've raised a child, and that child is about to go into the tertiary education system, and just because of a certain law, you lose that child to an accident, in death,
because of education,
because you just want that child to quickly meet up the 6:30 time or deadline.
Because someone just woke up and said
JAMB has not, I'm sorry, I know we're wrapping up, but JAMB has not come out with any apology or any statements to express their sympathy. None. And the registrar is possibly watching this program now and saying, in the normal terms, don't worry, just go on, we're not the first, we're not going to be the last. It's sad.
Well, we can't play politics with the lives of young Nigerians, but again, our hearts, our thoughts and our prayers are with those who have had to deal with irreparable loss as a result of this policy. We'll be expanding the conversation much later this morning.